Tell Me More podcast is being recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures. Hello and welcome back to Tell Me More. Today we have another episode of Ask Me More, where we've actually got some questions submitted by you via voice note, and we have a new segment for you as well. If you are listening to the podcast right now, I would love to see where you're listening from. So if you share it on your stories, please tag us at Tell Me More Podcast, and my Instagram is Olivia Molly Rogers. It really helps us to grow the podcast. The more you share it, the more you talk about it with your friends, and that will help us to get even better guests on. So please share away. Now, Daniel is going to launch into the questions for me. Are we starting with the voice notes?
Yeah, thanks to everyone who has submitted voice questions. Love to hear from the listeners. We'll probably put it in our Instagram at Tell Me More Podcast and on yours as well for the next one.
Yeah.
We got some really good ones.
And maybe we can leave a link in the show notes as well, so you can submit voice notes for the next one.
So this first voice note is from Grace.
My question is around eating disorder recovery. I just wanted to ask, how did you navigate getting back into normal life and normal routine? And was there any motivation that really helped? And also, how did you navigate speaking to friends about, I guess, your eating disorder and how much it impacts your life?
She has the sweetest voice. Thank you, Grace, for submitting that question. First of all, I'm sorry that you've been through that. It's so hard and can feel very isolating, and often can feel like you're the only person that's going through it. So I really appreciate you sending that through. I think it always helps for other people to know that there are other people going through it and that they're not alone. It's really difficult, I think, talking to friends about something like that when you don't know if they've experienced anything similar is really challenging. With my recovery, I don't think I went about it in the best way, in that I didn't seek professional help early on, and I wish that I had. I think that the whole process would have been a lot easier if I had done that. I was really determined to sort of do it on my own, which is a brain fault of mine, that I feel like I have to do that with most things. So I hope that you have got professional help, and if you do, really lean into that. I think my main advice is to take it slow when it comes to doing things that you had maybe stopped doing while you were in the depths of the eating disorder. So, whether that's like going out for dinner and or catching up with friends in a food-related setting, just take it slow. I think, obviously I'm not a professional, but challenging yourself to face fears is great, but you do need to do them in a really safe environment. So, it might be, rather than catching up with 5 friends at dinner, that you just have one friend that you feel really safe with, and you might have dinner with them. And it might be once a month. And then you can sort of build up on that and maybe expand to 3 friends. But I wouldn't recommend jumping straight into, a dinner with 20 people at a restaurant that you've never been to. I think try and face one fear at a time, and don't jump in head first. And then when it comes to talking to your friends about it, I find sometimes sending a message can be really helpful. If you feel too overwhelmed to talk about it in person, write down a message, and maybe you'll send the same one to each friend, and that's fine. And tell them that you would like to talk to them about it in person, but you're not sure how to bring it up. So you can write everything down. I feel like it's way less intimidating doing it that way. And then hopefully it's easier to bring it up in person the next time. But you can also send them links to resources. The Butterfly Foundation have amazing resources on how you can talk to people who are experiencing an eating disorder or have experienced an eating disorder. So if you point them in those directions as well, that could be really helpful.
Awesome. Next one is from Jessica.
Hi, Olivia. My name's Jess. I just wondered, being someone in the public eye, do you feel a pressure to look a certain way every time you go out in public?
That's a really good question. Thanks, Jess. I definitely have had periods of feeling this way. I felt like probably more so the year of Miss Universe Australia, I experienced a lot of imposter syndrome. And I felt like if I left the house looking, I don't know, average, without makeup on, without, an outfit that's put together, that people would look at me and think, ew, she can't be Miss Universe. She looks gross. So yeah, I definitely felt pressure then. But over the years, I mean, it's coming up to 7 years since that happened now. I think with age and experience and, everything that's happened over the last couple of years and a lot of therapy, I'm much more comfortable in my own skin and I don't feel that way. I also think, it's part of the human experience to just look different at all different times. And if I always worried about what people think or how people might perceive me, then I would just never be happy. So no, I leave the house. I don't worry about what I look like. A lot of the time I'll go to the shops post-run, covered in sweat, looking and probably smelling pretty disgusting, but I don't really care. Yeah. But I think like everyone, you have days where you feel more self-conscious than others. And if my skin is flaring up, I definitely feel that. But I just try to remember that in the big scheme of things, it doesn't really matter and no one cares how you look.
Next one's coming in from Sarah.
Hey Liv, my name is Sarah. I would love to understand how Australian men work exactly because I just arrived in Melbourne and tried to get back into like dating and stuff like that, and it is so different to Europe. I feel like here men like have issue to commit. Like sometimes they are super keen to go on a date with you, and the next hour they just ghost you. Or if you're not too much into dating app and you want just to connect with people, in bars or stuff like that, like they are not coming to you. There is no flirting. There is no eye contact. Like it's mostly like girls that needs to go to them, and most of the time they are with their mate. Like it's like coming like into a teenager group, and you're feeling like I don't know, so vulnerable. Yeah, I would love to understand how does it work. I need your help.
Oh, I would love to understand too. Oh, first of all, my God, I love that accent so much. I definitely feel a difference when I travel in the way that men are so much more confident in Europe, America, Bali, anywhere that I go. It's so different. I think Australian men are somewhat scared of women or also think that women are just going to come to them, which is really frustrating. And I agree. I think a lot of them are scared to commit, but then also just, even scared to strike up conversations, which is frustrating. Whereas if you go overseas, I think, whether you're on the street or at a bar, men are so much more likely to just approach you. And sometimes that's a bit intimidating when I go overseas because I'm not used to that here in Australia. But yeah, I think in my episode with Cassidy, one of her tips was being upfront and handing out your number on a coaster to guys, playing a game with your friends and doing that. I think that that's a fun way to, start talking to guys that might not come over to you. But when it comes to men who are afraid to commit or don't want to go on a second date or whatever, don't push it. Like if they're not showing you that they're interested, then they're probably not that interested and it's time to move on. Don't waste your time on men that aren't going to give you what you want because you can't change them.
This one's from Ainsley.
Hi, Liv. I was thinking about starting to grow my social platform and I was wondering if there's anything you would do differently if you had to start again, or any advice of what works well or what doesn't. Thanks.
That's a really good question. I get asked a lot actually about social media, I think, and growing your platform. I was lucky in the way that Miss Universe really launched my platform into a spot that I'd never even considered taking it. But then in order to grow, I think my main tip is to be consistent. Post things that you feel comfortable posting. I think there was a while there where I was looking at what other people were doing and trying too hard to try and emulate other people. And it didn't sit right with me. I didn't feel comfortable doing it and it didn't perform well. So what that taught me was that you're better off just doing something that you feel comfortable with, posting something that excites you or you're passionate about, and the audience will come based off of that. Consistency is really important. You've got to be posting stories and sort of lean into whatever Instagram is, if it's Instagram that you want to grow or TikTok, whatever they're sort of pushing at the time. So I know that at the moment Instagram is really pushing reels, so sharing more reels is a good thing to do. But yeah, I think just really focusing on what you like and finding different or creative ways to share that, and you'll be able to connect with an audience. You've just got to keep going and keep pushing, and even if it feels a bit cringe sometimes or you worry about what people might think, you will find people that will appreciate what you're doing. So just keep going, and sometimes you just got to be a little bit shameless.
And the last one in the voice notes today, this one's anonymous actually.
You mentioned in an Instagram story recently talking about parasocial relationships and how you only share sort of certain parts of your life, but it makes people feel as if they know the entirety of you. When you meet these people in real life, like people that have followed your journey for a long time and might know a lot of things about you, but you yourself know nothing about them, how do you navigate those conversations with them? And does it feel a bit awkward? And how, I guess, do you live up to these expectations of these people that have this idea of you in their head of what you've shared on your social media?
I like this question because it's got me thinking. I don't find it awkward. I really like when people come up to me because 9 times out of 10, it's just a really lovely woman or girl who has either just started following me or has followed me for a while. And I know it takes guts to go up to someone that you've never met, particularly if it is someone that you follow online. And it means a lot to me. So I always really like it. And I know that generally the other person feels much more awkward or uncomfortable than I ever do. So yeah, I don't find it awkward. I know that that's just something that comes with sharing online, is that the person who comes up to me is always going to know more about me than I know about them. I try to ask questions and ask their name and what they're doing and, why they are in the place that they are. Often it's the airport, so they might be flying somewhere or out at a bar or a restaurant. So yeah, I try to ask them questions and then let them say whatever they want to say. And yeah, I feel differently about sharing in that intimate setting. If they ask me a question, like say it was about dating or something along those lines in person, I'm more likely to actually answer and share things that maybe I wouldn't online, because I'm not broadcasting it to 300,000 people. I'm speaking to one person. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but I generally I really like connecting with people in all areas, whether that's online or in person. So yeah. Does that answer the question?
I think it does.
Okay.
That's a good answer. Thanks to everyone that sent those in. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's so fun hearing everyone's voices. I want more.
Well, everyone can send them in. They'll be in the link in our bio on Instagram and in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
So keep sending them through and we'll do it again. All right, we've got a new segment that we're going to run today where we're going to ask you give you a bunch of topics, and you're going to tell us if the topic is overrated or underrated. This is not a new thing. We've stolen this idea.
Yeah.
But they're all sort of random topics of current event things or fun little moments in time or something. It can be completely random. We've got some of the offers to put them together, and we've found a bunch of fun ones online as well. So overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
Properly rated. Cool. I rate it.
Well, this is properly rated already.
Yeah.
Segment is properly rated. Good to know. First one is TikTok.
I think it's properly rated. I know a lot of people who probably think it's overrated, and they're the people that are not on it. My friendship group, I think millennials in general, a lot of them are not really into it. But obviously the younger people coming through absolutely love it. I think it's really fun and I really enjoy it. The platform has so many people on it that I think that will tell you that it is very popular. So I think it's properly rated. What do you think?
I think it's underrated.
Oh.
Because I think that the use of what it is being used for isn't quite what the potential of it is.
Okay.
I think it has the potential to be the biggest search platform on the planet.
But it's not yet.
No. Just the algorithm and what they have built. But it's kind of scary because like I think they're banning it in, I don't know if America's banned it or then they're taking like the music, Universal's taking the music off it and a few things like that. So the platform's a bit funny, but I think it's underrated in terms of its potential.
Interesting.
The next one's running.
I think it's underrated. Obviously I love running and not everybody does, but I feel like there are so many benefits that you get from it mentally and physically, and you don't have to be running really long distances or really fast to be a runner. If you run 2 kilometers, then you're a runner. I think people who haven't tapped into it yet don't know how good it can be. So I think it's underrated. Thoughts?
I don't want no hate from the running community.
You think it's overrated?
I think it's overrated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I used to run a lot when I was younger. I really don't like it. I don't enjoy it, but I think like anything health related, anything that makes people healthier and they can tap into, I think everyone has their own lane that they like and they can find. And if that's what it is, then that's great. It's underrated in that sense.
Okay.
But I think that people overhype how cool it is.
I don't think it's cool. Like you see me running in my Oakleys, I don't look cool.
I don't think it's kind of got a cycling vibe for me at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I'm around too much.
No, yeah, maybe it's your fault. You do come in your Lycra more often. All right, the next one's avocados.
Properly rated. I love them, but I know a lot of people hate them again. So I think it's properly rated.
Yeah, unless it's shepherds, then they're severely overrated. Or they're probably properly rated as well.
Are they the ones that are always hard?
They're the ones you get now, like the start of winter. They're disgusting. They're horrible.
Are. Like you're better off not having an avocado.
Yeah, don't have them during that period. But yeah, I think they're properly rated as well. Podcasts.
Underrated.
Ooh.
I think we've spoken about this. Like in America, everyone listens to podcasts, whereas it's actually quite a small percentage of people in Australia that listen to podcasts. So if you're listening, well done and thank you. But yeah, I think they are underrated and I feel like they'll grow, just keep growing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of people are doing podcasts. That doesn't mean that they're overrated. I think that maybe just good podcasts aren't at a high frequency or high level yet. And it will just get better as more people listen to more podcasts.
Yeah.
So I think it's underrated as well. But we have to say that, don't we?
It'd be pretty awkward if we didn't.
Recording concerts on your phone.
Underrated. I am that person. Not the entire concert, but like when I went to Harry Styles, I would be recording a song. I'm like, oh my God, this is my favorite song. I got to record it because I want to watch this later. But then that just happened in every moment because it was so good. And partly that's to share on social media for those poor suckers who didn't get to go, but also so that I can rewatch it and relive that moment. I'm all about it. And your iPhone captures it so well that you might as well.
Yeah. It annoys me to see the photos and videos of every 1,000 people with their phones up instead of enjoying the moment. That gets me a little bit, but I do like sharing and saving it. I actually do look back at some of those concerts that I might have been to and like watch the videos of me. But I like how many, was it worth it? I don't think it's worth the whole song or the whole concert to do it. Maybe just a snippet here and there.
I think snippets, like the key parts of your favorite songs, and then also, not singing too loud over the top of it because you'll regret that.
I've been to a few concerts where they'll tell everyone to put their phones down.
That's smart.
for like one specific song. Let's say
Yeah.
put your phones down, enjoy the moment. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But also, I'm going to film it on the side. Having siblings.
Overrated. Nah. No, I think it's underrated. I love having siblings. I've got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I think that it's character building. You know, a little bit of sibling rivalry growing up and a little bit of bullying from your siblings. I think it gives you a thicker skin. I feel like, my siblings being a bit rough and not always that nice to me when we were younger has like prepared me to be an adult who gets abused online all the time.
Yeah. I don't know if it's underrated or I don't really know if it's underrated or overrated. I think it's probably properly rated. I have a lot of friends and people I know that don't get along with their siblings at all. But I have one brother, and he's my best mate. But you know, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And I have 2 kids now, like that, and they fight each other every day, but also love each other. I think it can be amazing, but I think some people
Depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, like anything. But yeah, I think I'm very lucky to have the siblings that I have.
Putting sad music on while you're sad to further your sadness.
Underrated. Or, I mean, do you know what? This is so embarrassing. When I split up with my husband, I was listening to breakup songs. I didn't realize that my Spotify was on public. And that was one of the ways that I got outed, as like there was speculation that I was going through a breakup. And then someone screenshot my recently played on Spotify. And they were like, yep, she's definitely going through a breakup. Look what she's listening to. They were right. And that was humiliating. And I changed my Spotify to private straight away. But yeah, I'm all about that. You got to lean into the sadness and feel all the sads, because otherwise if you push it down, it just comes out later. So listen to sad songs. I still have that playlist. Maybe I'll make it public now because I'm good.
You have a sad playlist. What is it called?
I've got my breakup playlist.
It's called the breakup
No,
playlist?
well, I didn't even name it that. It was September 2022. It's called September 2022. That was the time.
Sounds like the name of a Taylor Swift album.
Thank you.
Conversing with strangers.
Underrated. I love talking to strangers. I am really having a moment where, like, if I think it, I say it. Like, if I think something positive about someone's outfit or their hair or anything, I will tell them. And then you never know where that conversation will go. It can always, like, sometimes they're my favorite conversations, little snippets with strangers.
I agree. I don't do it enough because I think you get caught up in like your own little world too much. But I've met business partners that way. And yes, I love the idea of giving people compliments. I think it's a great just action to do in general.
Yeah.
If you like, because often you'll be like, oh damn, I like that shirt or something.
Tell them.
But you'll keep it to yourself.
Australians often don't, but
yeah.
people overseas do.
If someone says it to you, you remember.
Yeah.
Like you'll be like, oh, that
you
was
could
nice.
make their day.
I'll wear that shirt again tomorrow.
Sometimes people look at me like I'm so weird. Like, I'll also bless strangers if they sneeze because I think that's nice. I'm not particularly religious, but I just think it's nice to say bless you when someone sneezes. So I might be like across the street and like, bless you. I think it's nice.
Also underrated, I agree. Crocs.
Probably properly rated. Depends on where you go in Melbourne. I was north side the other day and there were Crocs everywhere, but south side not so much. So I think there's a lot of people that love them, a lot of people that hate them. So I think they're properly rated. Yeah,
I didn't really like them, but a lot of the kids at my kids' kinder have them now, and they're kind of cool. They're kind of cute.
Yeah.
I don't mind them on the kids. And I see people like in hospitality and stuff wear them a lot for actual practical reasons.
Yeah, they're functional.
Yeah, but...
And also my niece wears them, and when we're going to go somewhere, I'm like, let's crock and roll.
Oh, geez. That's very overrated. Let's never say that one again. Kardashians.
I think they used to be overrated and now they're probably underrated. I think people got sick of them in general, and they were a bit overrated. They were just everywhere. Whereas I feel like now maybe they're not in my face as much as they used to be. I think they're all so smart. Like the machine that is the Kardashians is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think they're all, really clever, and people sort of underrate them in that sense.
Yeah. I think that their like business prowess and what they've done is probably still underrated. Being sung happy birthday.
The worst. Overrated. I think we just need to cut it down, like make it, what is it, like 3 verses, or it just needs to be 1. Or maybe you just sing Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday instead. I think that's way better.
Yeah.
And way less awkward. I hate it. I hate being sung to. I hate like just sitting there when everyone's looking at you and like, do you join in? Do you clap? Do you say hip hip hooray for yourself?
Thank everyone for their efforts.
It's so awkward, and like people don't, if you're not a good singer, people also don't really like singing it. I just think it makes everyone's butt clench, and it's not a good time.
I don't like it either. I think it's overrated. The kids love it though. Hamish and Andy had this funny thing where they did they do the hip hip, but then bail out. So they'd scream the hip hip first, and then people would go hooray, and then they wouldn't do the second hip hip, which I love that. I love anything that does.
So you're making people who already feel awkward feel more awkward.
Yeah, and you really have to commit and be early on that hip hip as well, and really loud, and then just completely disappear for the second one. I think that's a great way to deal with the happy birthday song.
Perfect.
iPhones.
Properly rated? I love my iPhone.
Yeah, I think you're either iPhone or you're not, right? And probably the people who are not will think it's overrated, I would imagine.
We've said before about Androids. If you can't AirDrop, then you're of no use.
Yeah. Although my AirDrop hardly works, to be honest. I got a brand new phone.
AirDrop's overrated, actually.
AirDrop used to be the best thing of all time, and now I feel like it hasn't advanced itself.
Yeah.
It stopped working for me. It never works on my computer. I'm stuck in their little ecosystem, so I'm annoyed. I'm never changing. I'm an Apple for life, unfortunately.
Yeah, same.
Ice baths.
Oh, overrated. I hate them. Like I can understand how they can be beneficial for people, but I just think the way that people carry on about them, it's probably the way people feel about how I carry on about running, but I don't know. Don't make me cold. I hate being cold, and it's gross. And yeah, I think that people, like, I'm sure they can be beneficial, but to the extent that people say that they are, I'm just not so sure.
I've never done a proper ice bath, but I've heard of all the benefits. It sounds great. I've done sauna. I have a sauna, and the saunas are the best. So I think it's probably a similar thing. I don't need to hear about it every 2 minutes, everybody. I've done the cryotherapy, though. Have you done that?
No, but
That's
isn't that
room.
similar vibes? Yeah.
You go into a room that is that cold, and that was incredible. That was like amazing.
Well, then you probably like ice baths.
I probably would.
I've done it, and I just like, to get your breathing under control is really difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really don't like being freezing cold.
It's a lot of effort as well. Like, unless you're going to a place that has them. If you have an ice bath, like, that's commitment.
Yeah.
Videos of other people's kids.
I love kids, and I actually like find kid content really funny. Generally, if people are showing a video, it's because it's a funny video. But if it's going on and on and on, and you're like, okay, like, where's the good bit? That's annoying and overrated. But then I am the person that shows people videos of my niece constantly, like waiting for them to react how I react. And I know that I'm going to be that parent. So
it's overrated. To have 2 kids, it's overrated.
Okay.
But I do it as well.
Okay.
And I have plenty of videos of my kids.
So overrated, but we'll do it anyway.
My whole phone is full of videos of my kids. But like, I filmed my son riding his bike without training wheels this weekend and like doing pretty well, but not that good. But like, I was impressed. No one else cared. Like, no one else is impressed. I haven't shown anyone else that.
So that's for you and your family.
That's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disneyland.
Overrated. I went in, and the Disney people are going to hate me for this, but I just think people spend so much money to go to a place specifically for Disneyland, and then you get there, you line up for so long to actually get in, and then you go in and you want to go on all of the best rides, but the lines for those are 2 hours at a time. And so who's actually having fun? Not Me.
Which one are you talking about?
Okay, I went in Paris with Paul and we were meant to go for 8 hours. It was like a day trip out of Paris. And we had to leave early because we were going insane because they play the same music over and over again, like on the hour, every hour. And we decided that the people who work there doing that every hour, like they've got to be taking something. Like how can you be so up and about doing, I don't know, like it was like getting to us. To be fair, like there were parts that were really enjoyable, but again, the rides that you really want to go on, the lines are too long, the crowds are a lot, and it's just all a bit like, it's like a, what's the word? An attack on all your senses. And then I went in Tokyo with my family. We took Winnie and we had a great day, but we lined up for so long to get in. And then when we got in, she burst into tears and she was overwhelmed because, again, it's an attack on the senses. And all of the good rides, the lines were too long. So we just did like, you know, versions of things and we weren't there for long. So I just think I wouldn't go out of my way to, you know, revolve a trip around that.
Unless
Thoughts?
Disney want to send us there.
Yeah, Disney, if you want to change my mind.
I think Disneyland is also overrated, but I don't like ride. I'm not a ride person.
See, I love rides.
So I don't really care so I don't strap anything you strap me into that I can't control. Like I'm not in, I'm out. So I don't care about Disneyland, but if you package all of those, like if you go to LA, for example, you can do Disneyland and then you can do Universal Studios and like there's a few things there. And I think if you package them all together, it's pretty cool. And then Disney World is a different beast. Disney World in Orlando has like 5 different massive worlds and they're pretty cool. And I think Disneyland in LA has Harry Potter World and stuff now. I think it's a little bit different in the LA one, which has got a bit more that is not just like the castle and Mickey Mouse stuff. Like it's a bit more
And just those songs on
entertaining.
repeat.
Yeah. So I think Disneyland standalone on its own probably overrated as well, but as a whole, I think they're probably properly rated.
Okay.
And we will go there and enjoy
And
it
see for
if
ourselves.
we're paid to do it. I can say that. The last one on the list is influencers.
Oh, okay. This is a good one.
Let's unpack it.
I mean, I am an influencer, which I hate to say. When people ask me what I do for work, I'm always really awkward and I never know how to answer. I think a lot of influencers are underrated. I'm not necessarily speaking about myself. I might be overrated. I don't know. Properly rated, hopefully. But yeah, I think a lot of influencers are underrated because I know how much work goes into a lot of what people do online and it's impressive. Like they have a lot of work ethic and commitment and drive and, you know, no one else is telling you to do it. You're very self-driven. You've got to do a lot of things on your own. Like a lot of the time, you know, say a fashion influencer that I know, she's posted videos before saying like she's literally the stylist, the videographer, the editor, the director, like you're all of those things. You have to have all of these skills that you kind of teach yourself along the way. And then it's really hard to deal with constant feedback. I don't think as humans we're supposed to have that amount of feedback all day, every day. And yeah, to be able to keep putting yourself out there when people are constantly criticizing you is really challenging. So I think they can be underrated, but also there are some that are overrated.
Yeah. Look, I actually think they're underrated as well, but I see it from a different lens, marketing, advertising side of things. So I've seen it from the inception and then what it's become. I think you're right. I think that like the skill set and ability to be able to be good at it and consistent at it is actually a lot of hard work. I think it's a similar conversation to when people think that modeling is easy, when it's like actually very difficult to do that job. It's difficult to probably be a really good influencer for a long period of sustainable time and make it last as well. I also think that there's a flip side of that where there's some really lazy, easy win people in that world where it is probably they are overrated. But I think as a whole, it's probably underrated more so because it gets slammed so hard by a lot of the majority of the general public in terms of a profession,
Yeah.
which is probably, is definitely unfair, I think,
Yeah.
considering how difficult it is. And if anyone who really thinks about it, like they would be happy to take that opportunities that are given and would do it in a heartbeat. So I don't think they should probably throw those stones.
But it's one of those things where you can never say what you're doing, you know, like, oh, I'm working really hard. Whenever someone does that, they're like, oh, the poor influencers. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
whatever. So just.
Yeah, again, you can't say it, but I can.
Yeah, true.
That's all.
Amazing.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Ask Me More. If you would like to submit questions, as we said, you can do it via the link on Instagram or in our show notes. You can submit a voice note or just send through a written question and we will try and answer them next time. Please like, subscribe, follow all of the things that will help us grow and keep getting better guests coming your way.